let's say if we look at the images, we have a few parts to treat. Now the reason, let's go to the website just a sec. Now the details, you don't need to have everything combined to the mesh. You know, this is the problem, because let's say the back bomber you put that adds so many divisions, it's better to keep it as a separate part. And this is the thing to go. Let me just get the images. So let's say first thing, we see this part, yeah? Why is this mouse jumping all over the place? Okay, here we go. This windows, we're not going to do them. What we're going to do, we're going to use, because it's for an app and this plane is going to fly over your head, we're going to just do this as a texture with alpha channels and this in Substance. Now that's the idea. Now if you do want to do it, it's going to be too hard to do it like, I mean, you can do with extrude or move polys, it's one way. The other way is NURBS curves. And this is what I showed one time with NURBS curves. It gets a bit more advanced, but this is a much better way because you can take this curve. I will maybe just show this if somebody wants to try this. For example, I'll just create NURBS primitives. A circle is a NURBS curves, yeah? Like I said, we're not showing so much NURBS, but if somebody would deal with this part, curves would be a much easier way. Basically what you would do, you would break this whole piece and model a new piece more exact and then stitch it together inside. Project curves on surface. What you should have, it's not doing it for some strange reason. Why it's not doing it? Okay. Maybe I have here. Aha, I need to be on the view, then I'm going to do it. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so you see what it did? It projected me this curve on the surface. So now I can move it around. It moves on the shape. And this is a lot of parts, more architectures. AutoCAD work this way. AutoCAD and SolidWorks, it's all just trims and this. So now I can cut this out. If you look at the mesh, there's nothing here. It's not connected. I can just use the trim tool. These are a bit NURBS. We need surfaces. Do we see trim tool. And then I select the parts and press enter. And you see it made me the hole here. So a lot of ways to just, let's say a detail like the window, because it has these curves. One way to really model it with NURBS, project curves, cut them out. Another way is to do extrudes and really fine tune, like how we did the plane now. But I would definitely, we don't have enough if we look at our plane. Let's open back the scene so we can continue with 2. Because we're keeping it low poly, we don't have enough divisions. Let's say if I would try to make this into this whole window shapes like we have here. You know, I'll need to, if you see this is actually separated and it goes across. This whole part is a sliding window, let's say. Now we are going to solve all this in textures. We're not also the divisions. We can go with it. You can also do extrudes, poly extrudes, move the things, a bit more tedious work. But we're going to deal with this in surfaces. But before that, one tool that I didn't show. We try to make the shape all the time stronger by adding edge loop all the time to places. Now, since this is made for an app and we want it to be optimized, there's another way to do it without adding edge loops, and this is called, if we go to our mesh tools, and let's just crease. Anybody heard of crease tool? Okay, let's do it like that. Let's select an edge loop. I'm selecting this edge loop because I know here it's supposed to be quite sharp, this area. And if I will go with mesh tools, crease, and then I just mark the edge, and you see with middle mouse I drag it out, and what I get in the display, it looks sharper. And if you see here, I get a much harder edge here than before. So in reality, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this edge loop, and this edge loop, and I'm going to delete them. So edit mesh, delete edge vertex. The reason we have to do it, otherwise if I wouldn't do the delete edge vertex, I know I'm repeating it, I would have the vertices still here. Now this became a sharp point, this is not, So if I double click this, mesh tools, crease, and then with the middle mouse you drag, and it made it into a sharper point. What we were trying last time to achieve by adding more edge loops across, we now are doing with a crease tool. And then it's much more low poly, if you see and I get these sharp shapes that I wanted. The same as, let's say, if I will go here on this edge where the wing is, and I'm just double clicking to select all the around it. See, my side is not so good as yours, and I will go mesh, crease, sorry, edit mesh, crease tool, crease. Now I lost. Mesh tools, okay, crease, and then. And also in the preview, in the wireframe, you see where it's hard and where it's soft. So if I will take the wireframe off, you see what happened here. Maybe it's not the results I want. It made it a very sharp here, which I don't want. If I want to change it back, I can use the crease tool again. So I'll double click. I'm just pick walking, selecting all the thing, and then I will do crease again. Mesh tools, crease, and back. So I can also do it slightly, or I can do it, I will relax it. And when you go out of the tool, press Q to snap out of the tool, because you're staying in this. So let's say for here, the same I would do with this edge loop, and it's just to clean it up. I would select this edge loop, crease, sharpen it up. Now you do need a good mouse for this. Yeah, this is tricky. You need a good mouse on this. Again, just to show this idea of deleting, I know I'm repeating it. If I take this whole edge and I just press delete, it looks fine, yeah, like nothing happened. But if you see these points are too separate, I still have a vertex here. And this is really bad, to have loose vertices. That's why always keep in your brain that you should do delete edge vertex. Somebody remembers how to put it on their shelf? No? Control, Shift, and click on the item will add it to your shelf. And I'm releasing this one, and wait, I'm going to slow down. Freeze. Okay. So as you can see, I did both here. It's a sharp. It's a bit tricky, but it's how the mouse goes. Now, for those of you who advance, let's say I'm looking at this point. Mine looks terrible here. The connection. I can still adjust it, and we're working all the time between 1 and 3. Now, the reason, and we'll see this much more obvious in Substance Painter, why we do this, but I can still tweak this, let's say mine specifically. Again, this model is not meant for, if you want to do the model as render, as really elaborate, invest more into it. If we're putting it for the app, and this is also part of really to know where to cut the corners, in a sense. So I will straighten it. Now, I'm sure it's not the right way. Okay, I have a little arch here going weird, but I'm not going to even, or I will. But let's say, think about in our app, this is as far as the model will be seen. You know, something like this, as close up as it'll get, and it'll be with motion blur on it. So if the textures are amazing, then most of the work here will be the textures. And the textures, we can add all the nails but we need the shell. Now also, if you see, because I use the crease tool here on this side, here it doesn't look nice. I can also separate and not crease the bottom part. I can gradually go with it. So I can take now these edges that are already creased. Let's say I'll take these, and I will use again the crease tool and do it halfway. Mesh tools, crease, and then I will. So this is full, this is a bit less, and then I will take these last ones to get it a bit more gradual into the... Also, the last tool you've ever used is showed up here, so you can just select it here. Now I'm not sure this will work, but let's see how it looks like. You see what it did? It kept the sharp edges on these sides. Here it goes a bit more gradual, and here it disappears. So it fits me more. I broke this crease tool into segments. In a way to get this, I want to have the sharp here, although here we'll have a bubble, and I don't want to have the sharp on the bottom. On this side, I could do the same. I can release the crease here, but gradually. Take two in the middle, make the middle way, and then the end parts are nothing. And then one thing to understand with the substance, and maybe I'll show it like this, it's easier. Control D. I have double the model now, right? One is in 1, and one is in 3. Let's just pull it out. Our model for the, you see this is the low poly, and this is the high poly. We will need this to wrap around this. So basically what we're going to do is everything here, and here it pretty much works. You see if it's on top, I see the low poly model. And the high poly is inside it, it's smaller. The opposite way wouldn't work. Let's say here we see there's a little bit of the high poly. So we will need to adjust this later when we go to substance, because what happens is we're going to take this whole high poly and bake it into the textures of the low poly. So they need to fit. But if I would have something like the high poly is way out here, it won't work. You know, so there's and this will test with substance. It'll be, let's say this wing is a bit too much out, and the low poly won't have enough information to do it. So. But this is much easier to, do you get this concept? Like, think about a cage behind something, wrapping around it. Let's, maybe we see it a better way. This is the high poly, right? You have convert smooth mesh preview to polygons. What this means, we're turning it to number 3. So this is going to be actually our high poly model. You see, it's tons of polygons. This a computer won't be able to process so much, or it will, but be a bit of a waste of resources. So what we're trying to achieve, just I'm showing the end point of it, is that this one and this sit on the same, and at the end in the program it'll look like the smooth one, which is Alt H to hide everything else. It will look like this, although the model we use is if I can do Control Z, the model we use is this. So it's a big difference, and hopefully this should work. Now sometimes it doesn't matter, you see, we will have to check this, that the low poly, you see mine has some weird shapes. Yep, pismo. Okay, best way is to press F on a component and then travel. You see mine here, this is for sure not good. It's going to be very hard for the program, so I will need to adjust things to fit in a bit more. But we will see this more when we bake the textures. Okay. My wing is the ugliest. I'm going to go back to one model. But this conversion, this is how our smooth mesh looks like. It's not, this is like pressing 3. See, if I press 3 now, nothing happens. It's already in this mode. And this will be way too heavy. Okay, deleting. Next. Just to go. And I press 3 again. You can also clean up a few more things if you want to, but this is quite low poly enough. Let's say how I have it, I wouldn't bother so much with cleaning. I'm going to just remove the image planes. Just make sure your back has something like this. And the creases here. Okay. Now let's say we're doing the engine. A lot of you already started with the engines. We're going to do them quite quick. So let's start with the cylinder. And I'm turning it 90 degrees. There was a shift that's supposed to snap it. I'm not sure what. Look, another thing, and this is if you open every tool, let's say we're on the rotate tool or the move tool for now. If let's say I go with a rotate, and you see here, if I double click on this, it opens me the settings for this tool. So we went over the axis orientation, but you also have here step snap. And let's say if I do step snap and I make it absolute every 90 degrees, and you see it just flips in 90 degrees. You can change this to a lot of different, you can also do relative. Oh. He asked me a question about if he wants to snap a vertices along, not to, with a view snap to vertex. Huh? In all the tools, this is now on rotate, all the tools have the same settings, that's why, and you have here your transform constraint. And also another thing, because he said make live would work for you, also I think C, if you press C it should also snap on the surface, or change it here. Okay, let's just do this engine, then we, so cylinder. Again we can change the snapping, I'm just rotating, pressing 90 degrees. And I'll move it into this area. Now one thing to notice, you see I have millions of triangles here, we don't like that, at least in this part. So we go to our inputs and we change the subdivision caps to 0, just so we keep it more clean. Now notice we have subdivision axis 20. In general, 20 is not enough to be smooth, but we're keeping it low poly, because let's say I'll press 3 here, and this 3, you see this breaks. Keep it 20, we want to keep it a low poly model. If I was doing a high poly, I would have more. I will just now first, the same as we always do, this is quite, that's why I'll do it fast, the part of combining it with a plane will be more the tricky bit. I will just move it along. By the way, this is something that I made. You see, it's very hard for me to see with this image on the background, right? It's too dark. Usually what you should do is in Photoshop make it 50%, but we can also select this image. Let's do it now. I can't select it because I have it as reference layer. Control A for attributes, and alpha gain, I think. You see, I'm making it a bit more transparent. Now this would work perfect if I had a PNG with an alpha channel. I would actually just see the outline, exactly. So that would work. I can also just move the color gain. You know, it's just a few ways to do it. I'll take the alpha gain to 550, so it's 50% transparent. More easy to see our shapes around it. Okay, I'm just drawing it from this point to this point. Okay. I know that you guys have the engine, but let's do the engine again because I want to just show a few tools with them. So I'm just positioning it roughly before I add the divisions. So yeah, somewhere around here. And then I will go to my channel editor, into my input, and around the height, let's put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 divisions. And then the same as we did side by side, we start first by shrinking this. And a little bit positioning it. Again, working very rough first and then getting it more into shape. This is the way you guys did it anyways, right? Okay. Okay. Same, it's pretty much similar, the lattice. The reason why I want low poly, because we're going to combine it with the wing. And that's why we want to have this Okay, and we will use some deformers today, so that's exactly the point. Now notice with mine here, if I shrink this side in the front, I don't get this curve. You see that I have here, I need like as if another point. This goes inside a bit. So I would add an edge loop here, and I have it on my shelf because I wasn't lazy and I made my own shelf. I love shelves. I don't know why you guys don't want to try them. It's so handy. Okay, I have my shelf. So insert edge loop to add more division here. Not too exact, but I'm going to go now to the other side. Now here there's something a bit tricky with it. Let's first make it into a circle. And I'm just positioning it in the front view where the engine is. And then the top view.
So you have it.
Yeah, because the engine is, you'll see here, this has to be a circle, and the shape is not a circle. We'll only have to squeeze this one. That's why I'm going to the top view now. You see in the top view I can see the shape exactly on this part. So let's say I will just, first I'm doing it very rough, yeah, just to get the general shape, see if I'm wrong somewhere. So this is maybe here, this is a bit. Now you have the outline, so this should give us the shape. And okay, and then this one. Now the problem I have, and I think that's what you meant, just a second. See, it is getting the shape of the engine. Now notice this circle is still an oval a bit. That's why we work side by side to get the view. This is up. No, but I think this makes sense. It's just you have to make sure that this circle is a circle, and I think also in the back, you see how I have this as an oval? I think it shouldn't be. That I need to check this again. Oh. Okay, this is enough. No. Okay. But the engines are not perfect circles, I think. If you look at I think the front look, wait, let me see, maybe I'm wrong here. I think here it's a perfect circle, this one, the inside, but then I think it becomes it's like an egg shaped.
Yeah.
So what I would do with this is just select, because this has to be a circle, the front, this is where we're going to do the engine, so just select that row and make it on top. And the rest is about the shape that we got. Again, not being precise. Here this is a nicer picture, we can see it really clear. Now, just to see what we're going to do, all this engine parts inside, we're not going to model them. I mean, of course, if you're going to go into a model that you want to render to show off, yeah, you'll need to get into these details. That will look amazing. But for us, this will be a texture inside. So we need to think all the time what we're going to texture, what do we need. And then we have this shell across. And how we're going to do it is just, we're going to select this face. And again, with extrude mesh tools, not hide, show modeling toolkit. And I'm using the extrude a lot. And we can just push this back actually. Maybe squeeze it a bit. When I click on the scale and then move to the middle, I'm squeezing this a little bit inwards. So I'm getting this object. Okay, and then I will do another extrude. Let me just see the engine again, the picture. You see here we have a gradual. This is the, let's say we did this extrude, we pushed it in. Here we're going to put a picture of all this engine parts, and then we're going to have a circle here that goes out, and this circle is like a cone. So what we're going to do now is just another extrude. Click on the scale on one of them on the outside to move to scale mode, and then scale it from the center. So let's say this is the beginning. I should check it here, of course, to see that I don't even have this image here. So let's say that's it. Now you notice I just shrank it down, I didn't move it. So this is the second extrude. First extrude we pulled it in. Second one we just flatly moved it here by scaling it in the middle. This is okay. I'll wait up on it. And I'm just doing a last extrude, which is pulling this out. This is this cone shape. I'm pulling it out a little bit. I should again look, let's say, till where the blades start. I'm looking from top view. And then in order for me to scale it proportionally, I'm always clicking first on the scale on one of them, and then I get the square in the middle. And then I can scale it proportionally to get this cone shape. Okay. I'll just wait meanwhile, and I'll press 3. So this is 3 how it should look on smooth version.
Again, I would like to which parts did you extrude the edges?
Just a second. I'm not Control-Y. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we start in this point, right?
Yeah.
I selected this face without anything. First extrude, and I click on the side so I can grab the middle. The reason I'm doing that because like this I know it's proportional. Then I scale from the middle a little bit. Now what I did is I just scaled it and pushed it back in like this. Now there is a reason. I could have also done this like that, but we'll do this later. I could have extruded once like this to give it an edge, and does another extrude and push this in. You see the difference is here I get this flat edge, which I would do differently. We'll get to the same results. And now I'm showing another way of doing the same thing. If I press 3, you see I get this rounded edge here. Well, we can do that also with the bevel. So I'm stepping backwards and doing it how I did in the first time. Okay. I'm selecting the face. I do extrude. On the scale, on one of the scales, just to move to the mode, I squeeze a little bit inside, and then I push this in. And then I do extrude again. I press on the scale any of those handles. I just press. I'm not scaling it, just so the middle one will appear. It knows it moved to scale tool, and now I'm scaling it to the middle. That's it. It's flat on the same surface. And then I do extrude again. This time I'm pulling it out. Okay, I don't know if I'm accurate now. And I'm clicking on this and scaling it down to get this cone. Now definitely I'm not too accurate. Let's say somewhere here. Okay. I need to pull it out a bit more. The blades will come out of it. So I'm looking at this image. And I'll add myself an edge loop here to see where the propeller comes out. So edge loop, and I'll add here. Okay, sorry, I'll wait up from this. So the blades should actually come out of here in this space around. And again, press 3 from time to time to see how the model, because we'll have to adjust it for 3. Just to show another way to do it, and the trick, let's say we use the crease tools or we added edge loops. We had to create this more interesting thing. What we can do now is the bevel. If I select this edge, and we won't do it because we're keeping it low poly, but let's say in high poly models you'll use this a lot. I'm double clicking this edge ring, and here I have bevel tool. This is actually, a bevel is, you know, these corners that we have in the table, right? Or this. Now I have some tools to The fraction of it, if let's say if I would lower it because this is too high, 0.1, let's start. Oh, not 1, sorry. 0 bkm. Okay, so it's much smaller, but now I have one segment. Usually for a good devel, 3 segments. And then you notice what it does here. Maybe I'll come closer. You see I'm getting 3 cuts to make this rounded corner. If I will press 3 now, you see we get, it's not that much of a difference, but we get this bit of an edge here. If we work, this is more if you work on high poly. If I worked on, let's compare them, it'll be easier to see. Okay, I think this is it. That's it. Okay, so this is our initial model, right? I'll just duplicate this because it's 2 different workflows. If I was working in high poly on this model, I would be on number 1 all the time. I wouldn't be on number 3. So this is how it looks like number 3 because we're trying to do low poly. And in number 1, if I would want to make this looking smoother, I would select this edge, for example, and bevel it. Segments 3, for example, usually good. 0.15. Okay, so this should look a bit smoother. Now I don't have enough divisions here to get this, but this will keep me the hard. That's 3 as well. I don't know if it's so obvious the difference, but you see how much more tight this is, like the crease tool a bit. You know, I made this a bit more tight by using a bevel, whereas if you look at this one here, it's much more smooth. For our purposes, we won't use bevel, especially game engines. Bevels are crazy. If you think about it, I took this polygon now and I split it 3 times. So for this little edge, I have now 3 times 3 in a sense of all the polys that were there. So it's and we are trying to keep it low. But on high poly models, you might work, actually your model would be at number 1. You will never go into 3. You'll just model everything looking perfect. Let's say I would have a lot more divisions here for the circle. If you're modeling for rendering or those things, I would model in high level, not mess with this bound back and forth. So let's say now I have a problem. I want this engine, and if you saw the picture, this shouldn't be smooth. So again, I would use the best is to use the crease tool. Mesh tools, crease. And you see I got this sharp now. Although I'm on 3, the same here. Mesh tool, mesh tools, crease. Because we're all the time in the idea to make a very low poly, as low poly as possible model. Now here we're going to put a texture, so we don't care. We're not done yet with this. This is where the blades should come out. If we look at my side view, approximately from here to here is our blades. And I will just select this face again. And I will do extrude. Notice when I extrude it becomes normal again. And this extrude will go all the way to the end, around here. Now for all purposes, if you look at the engine here, this is rounded. I should do another maybe extrude here to make it more fine, but I'm very much keeping on the polygons. I want to keep it low. For this idea. You see, if you look at close up, this thing has a lot of the disc here, there's another, etc. But we keep it on this level. Same on this face, just meanwhile extrude it and push it in. Sorry, let's do 2 extrudes and that will keep us. So 1 extrude just to get the shape out, and another extrude to push it in so we get a straight. And maybe scale it down. You could also skip that and just use the crease tool. Again, nobody will see this. This is more to have a texture here. We can actually even avoid this to save the polygons. We could just do a flat in a picture here of fire, yeah, for example. But let's say we want to get a bit more details into it. You can also select 2 rings at one go. and mesh tools crease. So I'm creasing them both at the same time. Now the problem I have here, you see this looks really ugly because how we have it ended. This part. Because it's not correct, we deleted all the divisions. What? I select this face and I'll do extrude again. And I'll scale it inwards, really as much as I can go. This looks a bit nicer. And then I will just poke this face. Mesh tools and poke. Maybe it's too much.
Again, why do you have to click that?
Don't click that poke. Why? Because I don't want to have a mesh that's, you see I have this star here. What I should do is connect this maybe with a multicut. I should connect them. So I can take this point to this point. Press enter, but you see now I'm starting to have a mess. The reason is let's go into one. It's just hard to work on it like this. Ah, no, it's okay now. This is triangles here, that's why. Now it doesn't really matter for us. That's why I made it smaller, but it does matter in the sense of, you see now it looks smooth and okay. Yeah, this is fine, it is divided. But before, when I had it the whole way, you saw this like kind of texture, not texture, how do you call it, ripples on it. If you look this side now, looks pretty okay. It's like, I mean, I can still see it a bit. I don't know, through the screen you probably can't, but let's say if we compare to here, we can really see this shape. It's not that bad. I mean, you can have it. You see, the way to do it is you can make it even smaller. So nearly disappears. Then you can merge these vertices or poke them. And that's it. The poke just connected everything, so it's a full cage. And if I'll press 3 now, you see it's smooth here in the inside. It is, again, if we had a very close-up render of it, this will show. Since we don't, we're going to be around there and nobody noticed. It's again those things to figure out whether it's important or not. Okay, now a few ways how to do the propellers. Now we want to do them, we can do it also in one go here. It'll be a bit harder. The best way is to do it separately. But I would first, just to show this principle, let's say from here, if I take, we can also do it like this. If I take 1, 2 from top, and I will walk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 and 7. Again, I fucked up. Just a second. 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th and the 6th one, and then if I go from this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th and 6th, and just to make sure I'm accurate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, here there's 6, the other 2 are 2. I can select both those, all those sets of faces and do extrude. We don't have to do it that way. We'll usually do this on one. And then I'm pulling it out. So I get the propeller. But now we'll have to start shaping this propeller. So one idea is to do like that, and it'll be a bit harder for me to work. Then let's do it on a separate object. Okay. And I'm not going to start with a cylinder. I'm going to create a polygon primitive as a cube. Let's move it to the side. So we're doing the propellers now, right? This is this front. I'm just moving it somewhere out, and I will create an approximation of it. So for example, this is our blade, the first one. Okay? So far, so good, so what? Just check it with perspective. Okay. You know what? I can just do it here when I create the cube. It's the same thing. Long height 8. Okay, this is even better. And 2 on the depth. Not here, width should stay. Okay, it's fine. I did 2, and 12 on the height. Okay, just to get this box. Now, what I want to show is now, if you notice the plane's blades are going, it's like it's as if we twisted them, right? It's not a straight line, it's to be twisted. To model this and rotate will be a bit of a pain in the ass, I think. We have a tool for that. So I will go here, and I'm just showing this as an example how I think it should work, but deformers, if you remember, we showed a few of them. Where are they? Deform, non-linear, and you have twist here. Okay, so select your cube. Alan, you got me, or? I'll wait a bit because this is just a new thing I want to show. And okay, so once we have this cube, maybe I made too many divisions. I will go with a deform, non-linear. So it's up here, and we showed a bit the bend in this. Let's take the twist and just click it. Nothing should happen. You would see. It'll be easier to see it. You see these handles here. Now, in general, with those tools, if you see I have a handle, I need to press on T to get to the special tool. It's all the special, and then I get this handle's opening. What I have is now, if I rotate this, you see what happens? It rotates along like this. Now, I don't think they rotated this so much. Maybe something like this. If I bring this up, it starts the rotation from whatever point. You have here you see when I'm rotating them, I can control it. Now I'm doing it approx just to show you this trick. Maybe this square is not the right shape for it, but and then I also have this idea to, if I move it up and down, you see the spin. So here I could do a lollipop, let's say, with this tool. But in our case, oh, this Y is going to kill me. I'm going to take this all the way up because I think the blade rotates all the way to the top, and it just starts as a normal thing. Yeah. Now let's see what happens when I press 3. It became a bit more natural, I think. Still a cube. And I can just select this vertex and pull it up, I think, and give me a more of this curvy shape. I think it should also be a lot thinner. This is not a real blade. We will do this blade again because mine is not so, but I can. You know, the thing is, because I have a deformer on it, it's keeping the history. If I want to, I can edit, delete by type only for this object history. The deformer is gone. Now this object is baked like this, so I can continue working on it like this. Let's say I squash it a bit. Yeah.
It just go to dimension separate.
No, first detach. Let's say if I take this face, for example, this one. If I go mesh, it used to be extracted, now it's edit mesh, detach. Nothing really happened, although it's now got its own, let's see if it won. It looks the same, like nothing happened. But now when I select this, you see this face is separate. But if I will go to object mode, and I'm selecting, everything selects the same time, I think. Yeah, you see it also grabs this. It's still connected, it's still combined. And then I have to do mesh, separate, and now if I select this and move it, you see this piece is left behind. So detach just breaks the vertices, it just creates 4 in each point, but it's still combined. So you need to detach and then separate. And I will undo this. Hopefully I ended. Look, the engine still needs more work to make it more the right shape, and this, we're putting it for now like this. Now the main problem I have is that I want to connect this and this together to be one mesh, because we want to keep it on one, not just going through it, and then we'll need to make this little hump on top, which will be extruded. Boleyn's tool is quite nice if we prepare it right for it. So let's first, we have it aligned. I'm not so bothered by the shape. I will do this later so we have a better model. I want to match the numbers of, if I press with shift, you see I have an edge loop here, really going nicely with this one. What I would want to try to do is to add the same edge loops everywhere, so we're on the same thing. What I would do is use my insert edge loop. Let's press 1 and press 1. Do it on one mode, it's going to be a lot easier. I'm with shift selecting so I see the divisions. This edge loop, I'm going to slide it. My mesh tool, slide, slide, slide. Best way is from top view. I can see this divisions much better. So I have one edge going across here, one across here, and I will start adding more and more edge loops on this model as close as I can to the real edges I have here. That's it. This is enough. So your mesh should look something like this in a quick, rough way. I'm sorry that I'm doing everything really rough and fast, but it's just to show the idea now. Two ways I can do this. I could, because you see I have this nice curve here that enters. I could have made cut this and combine it and start going. I'm going to use the bowleans, and that's why I prepared enough of a mesh for it. Maybe I need another line here. And I'm going to select this one, and I think this would already work. And I did a bowleans tool. And that's it, it's combined. Now it's both of them combined. The only problem I have is that these things need to be cleaned up. They don't look nice or working. And this is just with a target weld. We start up. I will follow more the shape of the engine. So I'm taking this one here, this one here. Now, the more precise I would have been in the beginning, the more easy it will be and the more it would make sense to start doing it. But you see, so I'm reducing the polys here. It's very hard with this mouse. I think this is the simplest way, although usually I don't like this bevel. It's just to start cleaning it all up. You see, if I work from the back, and I'm just going across all the place where it was stitched. Sometimes you will need to go into 4 to see what you're doing. And you have to go all across this place. You see, I got all these weird shapes here because I wasn't exact with my lines. I didn't put the lines according. If I did, it will go faster, but I can always also just go around and start stitching them together. I will get some weird errors because I have another line here. Now if I get this shade, something here is wrong. And I need to see what it is. So this is a bit the sloppy way, but it works. And you see I got this whole edge. I see already in the inside I need to start with the target weld. The other option is really to prepare the hole before with edges and then, you know, attach, combine, and then start stitching. It's the same thing, but the bowlines works quite okay. Especially you saw how rough I was. My lines weren't even exact, they were just all over the place, not even enough. But if I did this, let's say if we had time, and when I did the model before, I went really according one by one, it was pretty perfect on the bevel straight away. I didn't have to do all these fixes, but doing a little bit of this fix is also not a big deal. It's let's say I would say here I want to keep this line, so I would take the target weld and start putting things across to this line. You see, and there's a lot of small ones, so this is why it's better to be precise here, but you can still clean it up like this. Now there are going to be parts like this to this, which is not okay. If we see it from here, it's really hard to see. You see I have a loose 2 points here. I can just attach this one to here, but it lowers it down. If I don't want to, I can just use the multi-cut and start cutting it across. And what I would do, my plan was like this, that to connect this nicely, and then to do an extrude for this because there's a little shaft. But you can do it the same here, because look, let's say how you have it is okay, you got the shaft, I was thinking to extrude it, yeah? And yours works like you did it properly?
Just scale it.
You can. This one I can take out. You see I have a button on my shelf which saves me so much time. Nobody's impressed with my shelf tricks. But let's say if I go like this and I already see this target weld. This goes to here. The more clean it is, let's say this vertex is left alone. I will need to connect it somehow to here or backwards. Now I'm not even worried about the quads. Let's just clean this up to see the front. Okay, so let's say it's relatively clean. Example, this guy, what I said, if you do it with this bowlines, you're always able to move this around a bit to get it more smooth. And then F8, press 3. You see in the smooth mode it should be a nice arch going. So here I still have mistakes. Here also, you see what's going on here, it's really weird. This all needs to be fixed, and this is because I didn't, if I look at one, you see I have this empty, you see I have this vertex here, which is nothing, and I need to actually, again, this is the problem with you might have such tiny dots, but I can just select everything here. I selected everything, great, and mesh, merge, edit mesh, merge. Okay. So also in that way I can just select a few of them in one go. Now if I press 3, you see the line here is better. I still have problems, but that needs to be addressed. You know, I would actually want to have this continued. If I go 1, another problem is because I have this point without any thing. It is. I know it's. It looks stupid, but these are actually very important. If I do the multi-cut and I'll take this point to this to here, because I don't feel like continuing the whole row. Just so we see how it breaks it. And then I press 3. You see now the line is continuous because I have a nice edge loop. Now I killed it here, yeah, which is not good. I should continue this all the way to the end if I want to have the right topology. But this thing does make a difference when you're in smooth mode, especially that you have this straight line before it was broken. Same this side. If I will just do it now with a multi-cut, I would just take this point and I'm putting it across. You see, it created me a more convenient line. Not so, but yeah, I have some problem here. Okay. But you get this idea with the topology. You guys as well with you see how it is. It's a shaft. It's actually not part of the engine. It's what I was thinking to do is after we combine the engine, select a row of faces, extrude up, and then select this face, extrude in, and that's it. And then here you see there's also, it goes back into the line of the engine, but it's a separate piece. I don't think it was part of the engine. It probably does go to it, but it's a shaft to connect. You see, it's a box here. It's and it's also smaller. Look at this picture. It really looks like nothing. Like here, it's just a small little shaft here. It actually continues with the shape very slight. It actually depends. Here he did it more. I think you can show it, but that's why it's completely extruded. If you would just select the top face as a row, if you had it organized and pull it up, I think you would get this part. Look, for the point of view of next time, bring the model, even if it's like this, yeah? I mean, work on it more. I will also bring mine a bit more clean and organized. I'm going to start, actually I have it already done, with the propellers, the engine combined. We have this shape. Once you do that, you will duplicate, mirror it, and we have a full model. And that's as much as we need. You have a bit more details, which is great. Leave them on, because we will do this baking. Just something to help you out, and it's a good tool. I don't know if in this case, but it really does help out. You have in your select use constraints. I know it sounds really stupid, but it's going to be a lifesaver for a lot of things. It's a bit more advanced tool. Okay, so just to show how to use this is called select using constraints. Is to help us out find problems in the mesh, or or if we have, let's say for example, triangles instead of quads. What I can do now is I can go with next selection just to show. I won't show the whole tool, it's got a lot of things, but just to get the idea what it does, and I'm sure it will come in very handy at times. I move to faces, so I change my object to face. I say next selection, so next time I select, it's gonna select via this option. So one is location, one is the order, if it's triangles, quads, or n-sided. Let's say if I want to select all the triangles I have here. If I will marquee select everything, and let's press forward to see, you see it selected me all the triangles in my mesh. So all those I know I need to turn to quads, for example. This saves you tons of times to find things. Not just that, let's say I'll do now quads. I select everything, it selects me everything that's quads. So basically the triangles are not. A lot of times n-sided, this is what we had the problem. N-sided are bad polys, and I have n-sided polys. This is very bad. All these are going to have to be fixed, and this is because in the bottom I didn't fix everything. But you see also here, n-sided means I have. If we look at it at one, you see here because I made this point cut, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 faces. This is exactly a way to learn. So I know this one, I made it on myself. I should pull it out more here. It's just a great tool to find. This is just the order. Triangles, quads, n-sided. N-sided, you don't want to have n-sided geos in your thing. Next one, planarity. Planar means it's straight or non-planar. So this is also quite important. And you see, some of them are planar. Means it's flat surface. And the rest are non-planar, which I think will be, you see it select. So this case, not a big deal. Just a way to select. Now you have, if you look at here, okay, domains, mapping, mapped or not mapped, topology, lamina or non-triangulated. So these are all bad topologies. A way to find out, I have nothing, non-triangulate, I have nothing. Geometry. You can, I won't go through all of them, but you can say distance, orientation. So basically, if I want to find all the faces that are pointing up, you know, a lot of times when you're modeling, you get a lot of faces. This can save you a lot of time. Now you want to select all the top facing. You have distance. Okay, it gets more this, but just to get this idea, this is a very useful tool to select and find problems. And I'm going to close. Just be careful when you use this tool always to constrain nothing, because otherwise you won't be able to select nothing at all. So if you leave it, always close and reset, so you're out of this tool. It's select, use constraint. Another important tool with selections, and I'm sorry I'm showing this, but this will save a lot of time with modeling. Let's say I selected tediously all these faces, every second face. I like this because I want to have a... Now I'm working on it. It took me now half an hour to select all these faces because it's a very complicated. I need to go work on something else now, and I lose all my selection. You don't. You have a way to save your selections, and this can save you a lot of time. You're working on the wing. You made some complex selection around it. You don't want to lose it. You can save it. So you have select, quick select sets. It's called sets. Okay, create sets. Create sets, quick select set. So I click this and I'll give this a name. We'll call engine selection. I can add it to shelf or I can press OK. Now I'm working on this part and on this part, and oh, I want to get back to my selection. I can go to select, quick select sets, and then it'll show me here all the list, and it brings back. This does save a lot of time. There's a lot of times you will be selecting, you're working on a character, you're making the eyes, and you made a selection for the eyes, you made for the ears, you made for different parts that you're working on. If you click outside, this is quite useful. Also, the select using constraints saves you a lot of time to select different things. Okay, once you're done, and do give more work than what we did now, you should go into Mesh Mirror. You see, it didn't take my propeller, but okay. And that should be our final model that we give. Just a few things. You see here, I have a big problem. You see this looks pretty shit. Just when you do this, yeah, make sure that you have all these problems like I have fixed. Also, this kind of thing shouldn't look like that. It should look smooth in 3. And then after you do that, you can go into Mesh Cleanup. Reset it. Apply. Now when I did apply, I don't know what actually happened. If I'll open this up, everything is written here. No items found to clean up. So basically everything is okay. But I will now say fix by tessellation. I will change this to this one, remove geometry, non-manifold geometry. This is important to do, and this might screw up my whole model. And it did clean something up. We need to see what it is. So there was something, a problem in this model, and now I'll have a mistake here. Or not. About this gunner in the back, I would suggest to do it separately. If you have it already,
No, I'll just...
or you can remove it.
I'll remove it. I'll fix it because I have so many polygons.